Hi, this is Cheryl back with you from Farmhouse Frugally. So I had this cute little bird feeder in my garden and it cracked in the weather and broke. And one of the little birds broke off with jagged edges, but he was too cute to throw away. So I went ahead and washed him, and I took out my air dry clay that I picked up at Hobby Lobby, and I went ahead and just formed like a ball underneath him, just covering all those jagged edges. And then I took a fork to kind of make it a little bit more like a nest, and then I let it dry overnight. And here it is, all dry, it turns white. So I took some antiquing wax and I waxed it and wiped it with a towel, and here he is, good as new. So while I had the clay out, I had an idea to show you a couple of different ways you can use clay on different mediums. So this glass container held maple syrup, and so I went ahead and I took a clump of clay and worked it around in my hand and just sort of started pressing it on the clay to look a bit like a label, where the label would be. Took my IOD stamps, which have the different marmalade and other the crockery stamps, and I went ahead and I pressed that into the clay while the clay was still wet. Had to try it again, didn't work out great. Tried this one. I think this one came out a little bit nicer. If you do this, you want to peel it off very, very slowly so that maintains its shape. So that one came out much nicer. I let it dry and you can see where it cracked. But that was okay because I knew I was going to fill that with paint. Now, I went ahead and painted that on right all over the entire glass with that chalked paint in linen white by Rust-Oleum, and then let that dry. And then I went ahead and took the dark antiquing wax and a stiff brush, and I just kind of brushed it all around what would look like that label area, and took a paper towel and wiped that back until you could just see it in the crevices, and I think it came out really cute. I added some tags and some greenery, and here it is. I think it's adorable. I could stamp on one of those tags with a little bee or something. I might pull out my stamps again and dress that up a bit. And then I decided to move on to tin. So we've done clay and glass, and I had this tin bucket upside down, and I did the same thing that I did before. But this time, after it dried, not only did it crack, but it broke. So I had to start over again and give that, but this time I put glue underneath the wad of clay, and I took the broken piece and saved the broken piece for later. So I went ahead into the second attempt, pressed that down, but this time it has glue under it so that when it dries, it will glue right underneath it. It does crack a little bit, but it's not terrible. So I went ahead and did the same thing, painted it, but I didn't love the color, so I painted it a second time with a blue. And that way you'd be able to see the impression. So I took white wax after the blue was dry, and I did the white wax all over it, wiped that off with a paper towel, and it was a little too white, so I took some of the antiquing wax and I put a little bit more on the edges and around the label, and here it is. It looks really summery to me, so I thought I would dress it up a little like summer, and then here it is with a few other little things in it just to give you an idea of that. And then the last medium is plastic. This is a plant holder that came with just some plant I purchased some time ago. It looked a little bit like galvanized metal, but it's actually plastic. So again, this time I glued first down on the clay and followed the same process, but this time I used that dry chunk that had fallen off and broken. from the other thing, and I had to build it up a little bit on the side. So it's a little bigger than I would like, but I just wanted to get a feel for how it worked on plastic. Once that was dry, I mixed my gray paint with some baking soda to give that a real cement feel with a real stippled brush, just kind of pouncing it on until I got that completely covered and let that dry. And then while I had extra gray cement paint out, I painted this little bunny I have had hanging around the house for, quite some time. It really did need a little bit of something. It was just really plain. And then let both of those pieces dry, and did the white wax only on the label. And here they are together. I thought they came out really cute. I tipped the bucket upside down and make it more like it's some kind of a statue feel. So I thought that was really, really cute. And then here is a little bonus. Done with clay, but while I had the IOD stamps out, I decided to do a little bit of stamping on some canvas cloth that I had from a drop cloth. So I just took that, laid that out, took out the 3 colors of ink that I have, a brownish sepia color, black and blue, and just sort of took a couple of the IOD stamps and some other stamps that I have and just pressed them into the ink and onto the fabric. It actually comes out really nice on fabric if you ever decide to give that a try. And so here's just a piece with a few different stamps stamped on it. And then once I was finished, I cut them out. I frayed some of them and decided that I would try to use at least one of them to show you an idea, something that you might be able to do with that. So you may have recalled in the dump haul a couple weeks back, my husband brought home a ton of florals, and this basket was part of that haul. So I took one of the pieces of fabric and some wire, cleaned the basket really good. Once that was dry, I laid that over the front of the basket, took the wires, and only in the 4 corners punctured them through the fabric into the basket and just wrapped them in the back. It's hard to see in this picture, but just kind of twisted them in the back. And then here it is just by itself. And I actually think that came out adorable. It really adds something to the basket. And then here it is with a few things inside, just to give you an idea of how adorable that would be. It just seemed to lend itself to spring to me. I don't know, something about the black and the label and the lavender. I think it came out adorable. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Drop a comment. Let me know which is your favorite. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks for stopping by.